Wind screamed through empty avenues, slicing at Emily's thin sweater as if intent on stealing the last warmth from her bones. She pressed her knees against her chest, hoping to contain herself in a tighter cocoon, but the cold found every gap, nippling her skin, turning her breath into icy clouds. Bickerney, your neck! Snowflakes drifted down like ash, landing in her tangled hair and on the frayed edges of her coat, which once may have been vibrant, but now clung in shreds. Her fingers, swollen and stiff, gripped the only treasure she owned, a threadbare blanket marred with holes and faded memories. Every jagged breeze reminded her of her solitude, and she shivered with more than the bite of winter's teeth. A faint whimper drifted through the night, wavering on the wind's howl. Emily's head snapped up, breath hitching as she peered past a flickering street lamp. There, nestled by an overturned bin, lay a large German shepherd whose coat was plastered with grime and flecks of melting snow. Its ribs stood out like dark ridges beneath skin, stretched thin, and each tremor seemed to echo her own. The dog lifted its head, ears swiveling, eyes clouded with fear and pain. In that instant, Emily felt a kinship deeper than words, a mirror of neglect and hunger staring back at her. She hesitated, heart pounding. That blanket was her lifeline against the night's cruelty, yet she could not tear her gaze away from the creature's pleading. With hands that shook so violently the fabric trembled, she peeled the blanket from her shoulders. A sharp sting raced up her spine as the cold lashed her bare skin, but compassion overpowered self-preservation. Crawling forward on numb limbs, she reached the dog and laid the blanket across its shivering body, tucking the edges as best she could. A soft whine sounded, and the dog's heavy muzzle lifted. Its deep brown eyes, rimmed with frost, flickered with recognition. "It's okay," Emily whispered, voice cracking. Her fingertips brushed through damp fur, finding warmth beneath the grime. The dog exhaled, a shaky breath that felt like victory. Felt like victory. Inch by inch, it inched closer, pressing its side to hers. Emily drew in a surprised breath, warmth that spread through her chest like sunlight, breaking a storm cloud. For the first time in countless nights, she did not feel completely alone. By dawn, the city's outlines emerged through a pale haze, snow-covered rooftops glittering in the early light. Emily's back ached from sleeping upright under a crumbling awning, but she stirred when she felt a familiar warmth at her side. Turning, she found the German shepherd curled patiently against her, the tattered blanket enfolding them both. A tentative smile curved her lips. He had stayed. "Well, guess we're stuck together now," she murmured, fingers threading through his thick fur. His ears twitched at her words, and he raised his head, intelligent eyes fixed on her. Though ribs still showed beneath his coat, there was a new strength in his posture, a promise of loyalty. She returned with all her heart. By midday, hunger gnawed at them like a predator. Emily and her newfound companion, now dubbed Shadow, scoured the streets for scraps, discarded sandwiches, passed over morsels, but the city offered only indifference. Watching passers-by in down jackets and lined scarves, she realized she had nothing but a cracked voice and a song, once prized only in her dreams. Seating herself near a subway entrance where feet and coins swirled in and out, she drew a shuddering breath. Then, closing her eyes, she sang. Each note trembled with loss and longing, yet held a raw beauty that cut through the bustle like a blade. Most hurried past, their ears closed. Then Shadow stood beside her, ears pricked, scanning the crowd. Someone drew too near. He barked softly. A guardian's flourish that startled a suited businessman into halting and dropping coins onto the pavement. A woman in a heavy coat paused next, kneeling to scratch behind Shadow's ear. "What a beautiful boy," she said, and from her purse emerged a crisp $5 bill. Emily blinked, disbelief washing over her as she collected the gift. Shadow nudged her hand, urging her to continue. And so she did, each verse buoyed by small kindnesses, born of his quiet watchfulness. As the sun sank, Emily and Shadow rounded a street corner and spotted her again, the elegant woman from the cafe window, now standing in the glow of a shop front. She observed them with calm interest, then turned and vanished before Emily could greet her. A flutter of unease stirred in Emily's stomach. Who was she? And why could Emily not shake the feeling that fate was already weaving its thread through their lives? That night, they took a familiar shortcut through an abandoned lot. The wind cut sharper than ever, and Emily tightened her coat. Shadow padded faithfully at her side when gravel crunched behind them. 3 figures emerged, young men, hollow-eyed desperation etched into every line of their faces. Well, a cruel voice sneered. "What do we have here?" Yeager stepped forward, hood casting his features in shadow. You made some money today, didn't you? He demanded. Emily's pulse thundered as she pressed her bag to her chest. They don't have anything, she stammered, but they had watched. Hand it over. They spat, moving in, Shadow's low growl rolled through the alley. Said. When a thug lunged at Emily, Shadow exploded into action. Jaws clamped onto flesh, teeth ripping through fabric and sinew. The attacker's scream rent the air as Shadow held fast. The other two panicked, kicking wildly. One blow sent Shadow sprawling with a sharp yelp. But he rose again, blood in his fur, unwavering as he faced down the men. Screw this, their leader hissed, clutching his arm. They fled, leaving Emily and her protector in trembling silence. Emily dropped to her knees, heart hammering. Shadow lay panting, a dark stain spreading across his side. Across his side. She ran her hands through his fur, tears blurring her vision. The city pulsed around them, oblivious to their pain. How could she save him? No money for a vet, no home for healing. Snowflakes drifted down, dissolving on her cheeks. She whispered through her sobs, "You're all I have." Shadow lifted his muzzle, licking her face in silent reassurance. His heartbeat thudded faintly beneath her palm. A soft voice cut through the haze. "Emily?" She looked up to see the elegant stranger standing before her, coat brushing the icy pavement, eyes unreadable. "I've been looking for you," the woman said. Emily stiffened. People like her rarely attracted such attention. The woman knelt, studying Shadow with a practiced eye. "What's his name?" she asked gently. "A Shadow," Emily replied, voice small. The woman's eyes glistened with something. Recognition, sorrow, hope. "You used to train police and service dogs," she said. "I lost a German shepherd once. He looked just like this boy." Emily bristled, pulling Shadow closer. "He's mine," she snapped, but her voice wavered. The woman offered a small, understanding smile. "I wouldn't dream of taking him from you. You two belong together." She produced a card. Margaret Caldwell, dog trainer and rescuer. "C'est toi. Ye have a home, warm and safe, and a place where dogs and people can heal. Come with me." Emily's fingers curled around the card, heart pounding. Why would anyone care? But watching Shadow's trusting glance, she felt something stir. Could this be the different path she'd never dared imagine? Warmth was the first gift. A plush couch, a soft blankets that felt like a promise. Shadow, cleaned and fed, rested his head on Emily's lap, the fight scars already fading under tender care. She could hardly believe the transformation, from alley warrior to cherished companion, from sleeping on cold pavement to sinking into cushions. Outside, snow tumbled in gentle waves, but inside was sanctuary. Margaret's home unfolded like a dream. An expansive estate edged by rolling fields, a gleaming training facility humming with dogs in harness and handlers at work. You have a gift, Margaret told Emily one morning as she led her through sunlit halls. Let me teach you. So Emily learned how to read canine eyes, how to guide a fearful animal to trust, even basic medical care. She returned to school for the first time since childhood, attended classes with a new sense of purpose. And Shadow? He became legend. His instincts, once dulled by neglect, now shone bright. He mastered obstacle courses, search exercises, and therapy visits, always by Emily's side. Through a grand bay window, Emily watched the city lights pulse in the distance. The cold corners she once knew now, galaxies away. Shadow leaned into her, contented huff, curling through the quiet room. "Oh, we made it, buddy," she whispered, running her fingers through his fur. No more wondering if tomorrow would be merciless, because now she knew it held warmth, purpose, and hope. Against all odds, a single act of kindness, a shared blanket, had altered the course of two lives forever. Together, they proved that even in the darkest hour, compassion can spark a journey toward light.